Hey friends, so today we're going to do a contour drawing of this tape dispenser. Follow along if you want to learn the art of contour drawing using a simple subject, or actually you might think this is a more complex subject. It's got circles, it's got some rectangles, it's got a lot of lines. So this is going to be a line drawing and the focus is on observation. So that's the reference image, which is this straight on view. You can see there's like a trapezoid shape, there's some circles, rectangles. When I do my first sample here to show you how I would go about a contour drawing, I'm going to draw it like this, like I drew this sample one ahead of time. I guess it's cheating because I've already drawn it once, but anyway, here we go. You can see I've got some letters in, I've got some shapes, but not every single detail. And that's part of the reason why I also used a marker. I used a Posca marker to draw this because it doesn't let me get into the weeds and all the details of every single shape. If you use a colored pencil, I would suggest using a color that is not the same color as your subject, just so you can sort of keep the two separate. I'm also really digging these art crayons lately. This is a brand called Marabu, and I also purchased, they have more colors if you find a dupe of it on Amazon. My friend found it on Amazon and I bought another brand. This is the gray one. You can see kind of get like a thicker line, a thinner line. If I'm doing a contour drawing of, say, a box, that's the result. And that's a lot of times how I sketch, just very loose, representational. We're not going for perfection here. We're just sketching. It's just getting the idea of things and getting it out there, aiming to be a little bit better day by day. If you decide to draw with something like a Sharpie, the line's going to be similar to a Posca. And I'm not going to draw with a colored pencil here because the lines are a little bit fainter. And I want you to be able to see what I'm doing really well. So gonna stick with the green Posca for now and get started on a brand new drawing similar to the sample that you just saw. I like to start in the top right corner. I'm left-handed, so often I will start a subject on the top. I'll use these two lines at the top as sort of a guide to gauge proportion. So the size of that related to the size of that. That is a similar size. And then the size of the actual tape, the width of it is, well, it's wider than those two things together, so I can't use that exactly as a measure. But the width of the tape and the width of the handle are similar, so those are some things you want to keep in mind. Take your time to look at a subject for a while before you even make a mark. Again, just for placement, I'm going to do those top two lines. And wow, I really went for it with that oval. I'm pretty happy with that. It's a little bit wobbly, but then, oh, I made that mark because I remembered that it's supposed to be about the same width. The oval is obviously too wide. Okay, so this is problematic, and it's something that when I start drawing, this is something that will occupy my brain, but I keep going anyway. So that sort of trapezoid shape on top, I made it a little bit more rounded than it should, but it's about in the place where it should be. So remember that oval of the tape and then the handle were about the same width, except there was a little space in between. So this mark that I've made out to the left as sort of a reference point of where that handle should end, well, that's not going to work out. I digress. We're going to keep moving forward. Now I'm getting into the underside, and I forgot that this is a 3D shape, and you see the side of the tape. I guess in the back of my mind, I was thinking, you know how the reference image is like that straight on circular view? I forgot that I was drawing it the other way for a second. And anyway, so now I've got the tape, but with these lines in between. So now we're going to go for the center, this little spindle that the tape is on. And I kind of have that triangular shape right. So now as I go for that tape, you see, I really want to refine that line. I know it's wrong. I know I'm doing a contour drawing and I should have just let it go with one line, but I couldn't help myself, right? Sometimes when you do these things, you can't help yourself. You keep doing it anyway, even though it's not right. So now we're going to get into the handle and where it connects. So this is where my inner dialogue is going crazy because I remembered that this is not long enough. If I would make it the right length, it would go completely off the page. I'm making a new mark there because my goal now, it's always to just finish the drawing. Even if it's wrong, as I'm going along, I know that it's wrong. I know that it's not the proportion that I want it to be. It's not what my eye is seeing, and my hand is not cooperating, and that's okay. And that's where people say, you know, oh, I can't draw, you can draw, I can't draw. Well, as I'm going along, a lot of times I'm saying the same thing to myself. Oh, I can't draw. Oh, I can't do that. Because you're just not, your hand is not doing what your mind is telling it to. I knew the proportion of that. I knew it should have been wider, but I didn't make it look. So for this quick 5-minute drawing, you know, I didn't want to get into the lettering. I've got some letter shapes. Now, here's another sample. We're going to take a look at this reference image together where you have that circular shape. I'm going to do it with the art crayon and see how I'm like eyeballing it, seeing where these bigger shapes will go. There's a shape on the right, there's a shape on the left, there's a handle shape on the bottom, and I'm kind of mimicking where those shapes are going to fit on my page. Am I going to create them at the same size as the reference image? Maybe a little bit bigger, maybe a little bit smaller. I roughed out the marks where the bottom of the handle is, where the handle attaches to the cutting unit portion, and the bottom of the tape. So now I do that big swing around. Oh, sometimes you get it, you know, on a contour sketch, you have one shot to get that circular shape right. And obviously, once again, my hand and my brain really want to keep redoing that shape. And now I'm like, oh, that just scooped down way too low. I didn't mean to do that either. Darn it. I'm trying to teach people something and lead them, and I'm making these weird mistakes and things don't look right. But we keep going. So now back to this trapezoid shape. Still not where I want it, but it seems to be in the right place. The top of that aligns with the top of the tape dispenser, maybe a little bit higher. I'm pretty happy with that. Then there's the circular barrel where the tape rolls underneath there when you're dispensing it. And then I have these little areas of negative space that I'm so preoccupied with different things that I really didn't get that right. And sometimes I think when you're doing a more complex shape, it's perfectly normal, natural to kind of make things up. Those lines in between the tape roll and the part that cuts it are completely wrong. There's a portion to the left of that turn wheel that you see, it's dark, and I didn't even make that mark. Now again, I'm seeing that that handle is not down low enough once again, but when I just go ahead and draw it in, aside from that errant mark where I had made the bottom, you know, it looks okay. So part of this is going back, and I like to take a second look at things and kind of demonstrate what my head does. So automatically I go, oh, that was wrong. It should be there. When I'm finished with a drawing, I don't usually go back and make these kind of marks on top, but I'm just illustrating where my head is, that you should take a look at your finished drawing and make some mental notes of what you would have changed. I would have done that interior mark there. The edge of the tape should be there. And then the exterior edge would be, well, about where it was. I think I did a good job with that, aside from making it too large for this sheet of paper. This interior circle is pretty right on, and I didn't do the interior portion where there's some sort of a nut holding it together, but overall I'm happy with this contour drawing. It's not exact, and exactly wrong is okay. I did add a couple little detail marks where these nuts are. I can't make this line go away because it's in the art crayon. I mean, if I really wanted to, I could go over it with a water brush, but we're not doing that. So let me add a couple more little details. I see I can't leave it alone. Okay. I want to take one more look at this subject. And if you are really into the proportions of things, let me reassure you that it's okay. Getting proportions right, getting the size, getting something to look exactly right is hard work. It takes time. And to do it precisely, you would have to take measurements. So I'm going to use a tool that has been used before cameras, before any optics, and that's a measuring stick. So if I use this Tombow dual brush marker as a measuring stick and I stick it there, or you can use a paintbrush, whatever you have that, could be at an appropriate length to translate this over. What we're really doing is tracing using dots. So if I make a little mark, that puts that there. I make a mark on top of the tape, and that's where that goes. And I keep going around the perimeter of this. Then what I've gotten at the end is sort of an outline. It's a dot to dot of this image. And artists and artisans for thousands of years have been using a technique like this to transfer what they see, an image, onto another one, whether they're making a copy of a drawing or a copy of somebody else's drawing, a copy of their own drawing, or if they have a subject in front of them and they're holding it up, kind of like, where you see people with a pencil holding it out and taking those little measurements. So now all I have to do is connect the dots. I didn't do it dot by dot by dot. You could, if you really want to, and go all the way around and get a perfect perimeter contour line drawing in dots that are then connected by lines. That's totally okay. I want to show you tips and tools and tricks that you may not be aware of to make your drawing a little bit easier. I kind of like to leave things as they are and let it go, and I will do better next time. This is what my hand could do today. This is what I saw today. That's kind of my mantra. This is what I saw. And I did it in ink. I didn't go back. I could see where things were wrong when I'm drawing a building. Oh, maybe it's 5-story building, but I only fit in 6 windows. So it's what I saw, and that was my interpretation for the day. But when you want to start drawing and be really precise, if that's important to you, or to gain confidence, I think using a method like this, using the measuring stick tool or tracing or projecting drawings, I think that that's all really valid. You're practicing your observational skills, what you see, what you can put together. Even if I put those lines, I still have to practice doing that circular shape. I put those dots down, but it's not exact. So that's a little bit on contour drawing today. Just the lines, just the exterior lines. You can get into as much detail as you want or not if you want to get logos in there, and practice some lettering. That's great. If not, then you won't. So there are other types of contour drawings that we can also take a look at, and I would love to get into those with you as well. So stay tuned. We're going to add some more.